S&Box just added an AI connection to its editor. And no, it's not an annoying chatbot in the corner of your screen. It's something way more interesting than that. Plus, the physics engine went open source, characters can now lip sync automatically, terrain renders 70% faster, and FacePunch dropped 2 new games on the platform. 3 updates landed in July. Let's go through all of them. Starting with the July 8th update, because this one has the biggest news. The S&Box editor now has something called an MCP server. Let me explain what that means in simple terms. MCP stands for Model Context Protocol. It's basically a way for AI tools like Claude to talk directly to the S&Box editor. So instead of you typing code manually, you could tell an AI, build me a house with 4 rooms and a garden, and it would actually place objects, create walls, and set up the scene inside the editor for you. And here's the important part. It's completely invisible unless you want to use it. There's no pop-up, no chat window, no assistant following you around. It just sits there quietly and only activates if you connect an AI tool to it. This is a big deal because it means S&Box is one of the first game engines where AI can directly interact with your project. Not just write code in a text file, but actually manipulate objects in the editor. Same update brought first-party weapon and inventory systems. Before this, if you wanted guns in your game, you had to build the entire system yourself. Weapon switching, ammo tracking, inventory management, all from scratch. Now there are built-in components for inventory, weapons, ammo, camera shake, tracers, and scene anchors. These are ready-made building blocks that work out of the box. Think of it like this. Before you had to build the entire car engine yourself. Now FacePunch gives you the engine, and you just need to build the body. Targeted add-ons is another big feature from July 8th. Before this update, if you published an add-on to the workshop, your code could only use stuff from the engine. It couldn't access the parent game's code. Now add-ons can target a specific game. So if someone makes a popular game on S&Box, other creators can build add-ons specifically for that game using its code and systems. This is how you get a modding ecosystem inside a modding platform, games within games getting their own mods. FacePunch said they're hoping this will really boost the S&Box game community in the coming weeks. Screen space shadows were added, and I'll keep this simple. Before this update, shadows in S&Box came from one source, the sun or light casting shadows onto surfaces. Screen space shadows add a second layer. They calculate tiny shadows between objects that are close together on your screen. The result is things like your weapon casting a soft shadow on a nearby wall, or a character's fingers creating small shadows on a doorknob they're touching. It makes everything look more grounded and real, without costing much performance. 2 new FacePunch games dropped. The Deck is a suite of card games you can play alone or with friends. But here's the clever part. It uses the new add-on system, so anyone in the community can create and submit their own card games and board games. Breakout is a remake of the classic brick-breaking game with 3 modes: Classic, Arcade, and Weekly Challenge, each with leaderboards. These are part of Gary's plan to fill the platform with small, polished games before the December marketing push. Now the July 1st update, smaller but important. Box 3D went open source. This is the physics engine that S&Box has been using for almost a year. It was built by Aaron Caddo, the same person who created Box 2D, which is one of the most widely used physics engines in gaming history. Think of Box 2D as the engine behind thousands of 2D games. Box 3D is the 3D version, and now it's free for anyone to use. This is good for S&Box because it means more eyes on the code, more bug reports, and faster improvements. The editor got dramatically faster too. The system that draws those little arrows and squares you use to move objects around, called gizmos, was rewritten. It went from 55 milliseconds to draw to 19 milliseconds. That's almost 3 times faster, and you feel it immediately when you're working with complex scenes. They also stopped rendering shadows for the 3D Skybox, which saves 64 megabytes of video memory. The Skybox is that background environment you see in the distance. It doesn't need shadows because you never get close enough to notice them. Removing them frees up memory for things that actually matter. And yesterday, July 15th, the newest update, automatic lip sync generation. You give the editor a sound file of someone talking, and it automatically generates lip movements that sync with the
catch
audio.
me on the way back.
Like how
Right behind you.
Half-Life 2 did it, but
I'll wait.
better. You can also
Yes.
add subtitles directly
I'll
to
wait
sound
here.
files now. So when a character speaks, the subtitles are baked right into the audio asset, instead of having to set them up separately. The terrain system got a major performance overhaul. The way S&Box renders landscapes was rewritten, so the ground is split into smaller chunks. Now the engine checks which chunks are actually visible to the camera and skips the rest. In most situations, about 70% of the terrain isn't in your view, so skipping it means the engine does way less work. There's also a new height coverage system for decals. Decals are flat images projected onto surfaces, like bullet holes or dirt stains. Now they can use a height map to control where they appear. So a muddy decal would only show in the low spots between rocks instead of covering everything flat. 3 updates in 2 weeks. AI editor integration, built-in weapons, targeted add-ons, screen space shadows, lip sync, terrain optimization, 2 new games, and an open-source physics engine. S&Box is shipping fast heading into the December relaunch. Let me know in the comments what you think. See you next week.